What's good with it, y'all? This is Nuanced Noise. My name is Tr38cho, and we are back with another video. This time is not necessarily in a deep dive into any type of entertainment as much as it is a digging into one of my interests. And I think it, since the year of our Lord, 2025, where the movie Sinners dropped, there has been a conversation that has been bubbling within our people, black people, and others, people of indigenous origin, about the question of Christianity and where that takes place with us. Excuse me. I believe that this is an important conversation to have, and I feel like right now we are at a major uplifting of that idea, that type of conversation and ideology, where indigenous beliefs or African spirituality makes it to the forefront over Christianity, or just major, like, the question of Christianity comes into play. The question of even Judaica and Islamic identity are starting to come into play as well. And we're just going to get into one person who I have been following on Instagram for on and off for a couple weeks, I guess, or months, is the Jasmine. Jasmine. On Instagram, she is Jasmine's Gardens, but she came off smoking hot talking about this. Let's get into it.
Deante Kyle is the Antichrist because 80% of black Christians are functionally illiterate.
Wow. Wow.
Y'all know I've been waiting on this one. 80% of black Christians are functionally illiterate. And I think it's so funny because the main people quoting the Bible are the main people that can't fucking read it. Y'all can read to identify words on the paper, but you cannot read to comprehend. You can read and understand that that word says that, but you don't know what that fucking means. And so y'all are online.
Agreed. As someone who just, so I got into since I was about 9 years old, my mom was like really heavy in the church. I mean to say that we went to church Sunday through Sunday. Monday through Friday, we were at morning prayer at 5:30 in the 6 o'clock in the morning, but we had to be up at about 5 to get out of the door at 5:30 to be at church at 6. And since then, like my brother and I, at least one of my brothers, we would just read through the Bible front to back. And like the thing that made it really entertaining for us was a lot of the battles in like the, Joshua and, between David and Solomon and all of, like, a lot of that stuff. Once you break into the stylistic writing of the King James Bible, it really becomes entertaining, especially if you were like into like Camelot and like The Sword and the Stone, all of those stories that essentially play out in the same way, or similarly. Once you take a passion for that, then you really understand a lot of things in context. And a lot of people read certain verses in the Bible and be like, it's like, this is what, God is saying, and this is what the Lord says, because they read one verse out of the Bible very often out of context. It's funny how out of context has become like a theme for this year, but I'm a litter cook.
Talking about, venerating your ancestor sounds like possession because that nigga told y'all to tap into the blood that's coursing through your fucking veins. You see, ancestor veneration is not just about putting your ancestors on an altar. Sometimes it's picking up the prophecy. It's continuing the work. Some of them need you to pursue the fucking missions that they didn't get to finish, and they need you to be the vessel. And y'all like, that sounds like possession. Mind you, you're okay with the pastor of the church praying over you, the mother of the church throwing a sheet over you because you're slain in the spirit, and the spirit is your trauma. Go to fucking therapy. And what gets me is the most intelligent black people within our community are not in the church. Y'all thought Deante Kyle was intelligent up until he started pointing out your own idiotic ideologies. When he starts showing y'all the flaws in y'all way of thinking, now y'all like, oh no, you're taking it too far. If you can't recognize that Christ was circumstantial for our ancestors to...
She said a lot. She just said a lot. And she about to say some more. And anyway, it's really crazy to me how many people that I know that talk like this, that have had a background in the church, and some people, like, be it like a close encounter, I've heard a quote one time saying that, like, the biggest zealots for Jesus, or the biggest zealots in general, are the new converts. But I've lived a life of in the church, and I'm pretty sure she has too. And it's really crazy how many people just overlook some of the things that they talk about in the Bible, that are essentially detrimental. And I mean, like, Charlie Kirk talked about it a lot, but like slavery was promoted in the Bible on multiple points, and we just overlooked that because, Jesus has a plan. And it just shouldn't sit right. And if you look at the Bible, as I do, as like a historical concoction of, I wouldn't even say historical. I would say that, because history, to a certain regard, really is something that's a little new, because thousands of years ago, the writers of history kind of just did whatever they wanted. Like, they put their own spin on things, and once you start to understand that the world that we know exists in that context of people who created stories in order to keep people in line, and you look at the Bible as like one of those things that is done that same thing, you could still have Jesus. You can still believe that he is the Son of God, that he died on the cross for your sins, without putting extra stuff, all of the extra stuff around it, to glorify the book itself. And I know the verse that exists that says, in the beginning there was the Word, and the Word was God. But there, you have to look at that as there being a reason for it to have been written in that way. If you understand what I'm saying. Now, granted, you could still have all of the people that you feel are real in your heart, but to look at the book and just ignore the fact that it was written, first of all, in one language, translated a bunch of times, and then to your hands in the same way that it happened, is, as she said it, it's a type of illiteracy. It is a type of illiteracy. And I think it's really sad that we still just like worship the Bible itself as if it is God, when in the Bible itself, one of the biggest things, like the golden calf, you know what I mean? Like, people will take a thing and put, even when I see people rock crosses, is that is a type of idolatry. I get that, to have the cross on it, you're trying to represent your Christianity, but maybe representing your Christianity and your faith should come out in your works more than the physical representation of a thing. Do it through your actions. Do it through, like, how you navigate through life. But let me let her continue.
coat, you were not paying attention to what was actually going on during slavery. You do not understand the sacrifices that they made in order for your stupid ass to be here. When y'all think about the fact that our ancestors had their spiritual practices and their spiritual beliefs beat out of them, y'all never go back and wonder, what was it? Y'all think that the only people that were filled with the blood of Christ and the love of God were the white people that came and stole us from the land in which we were on and sold us off on various islands and parts of this motherfucking country and tormented us, turned us into fucking furniture, ate us. These were the only ones that God had chosen to give his way of thinking to.
People want it both ways. They want it both ways. They want the Africans to, the people, and some people don't believe we came from Africa, but they want the Africans to have come from Africa, Christians, and maybe some, maybe some of us were practice Islam 500 years ago, 600 years ago, when they were coming in with the ships. Maybe you could make that argument. However, it ain't all of us. It ain't all of us. And to where she's going with this is that it is a form of anti-blackness to believe that it was some sort of miracle that white people came, brought us out of Africa, and gave us Jesus. And that's a tough conversation to have with blackness. And you know what? Like, a lot of people just don't want to have that conversation. And it's difficult. It's really difficult to have. And I'm not saying you have to give up Jesus, but like, these are questions that we have to have within our own blackness. And I think in the context of like what she's talking about, it's not necessarily the people who are Christians. It's the people who are Christians who tend to look at every type of exploration outside of Christianity as this dogmatic, like you're throwing away the dogma to worship the devil. And they will look at your natural African belief system as a deep dive into Satanism, essentially. And that's, where does that come from? Why are we taught this? Why do we believe this? And, you know, there are Native American Christians. There are Indian Christians. I mean, like, Christianity has been all over the world, maybe with the exception of the Americas. I mean, I don't know. But, you know, like, yes, Christianity was in Africa before the slaves got there. But do we know that it was that part of Africa? For sure. These are things that to explore that and to have those questions and to seek that out becomes so disgusting to so many Christians. That's what she's talking about. Not the people. Not you can still have your Jesus. You can still praise and worship Jesus and understand that some of our ancestors did worship Jesus, but also did everything in their power to escape their situation, believing that Jesus was going to do it. Deante Kyle's position, I wish I could find the video quickly, but I'm sure that I can't. Maybe I'll pause and get back to it. But I think Deante Kyle's position at this point now is that it's like, wow, like, this is, we're just gonna go with the thing that was pushed on us. We're gonna go with the thing that was like, still like, our ancestors did, or, you know, like our grandparents, great grandparents, their parents they had Jesus to get out of their situation. Like, yes, they definitely believed in a Jesus that was going, but we are still in the same I mean, we're not slaves, but we ain't much further than where we were in the 60s. We got technology. People like us, you know, people love hip hop. People like our little dances and shit. But is that really equal? Are we equal to our white counterparts? Some of you will answer yes, and Deante Kyle has a better way of talking about y'all than I do, because I'm not even gonna entertain it. But let's let her cook.
And these are the people that he chose to instill it upon us. To be fair, in the same sentiment, our ancestors' blood coursing through our veins just allows us to identify who is who. And I know exactly who you niggas are, because the ones that are about it always come back and they're always about it. And the ones that are bitches can't get that bitch out their blood. Deante Kyle is the Antichrist because 80% of black Christians are...
Damn. I'm going to look for the Deante Kyle video, and we're going to dissect that one. Yeah, we got enough time to do that. We're going to dissect that one as well. I'm going to get right back.
Gang. Do you gang? Yeah.
We back. Ooh, we back. Chris Meg's podcast. Episode 94. I'm your host, the Antichrist, Deante Kyle, but who's behind the camera?
This ain't no funeral home.
See, this alone is crazy.
Ain't no podcast either. Welcome to hell, motherfuckers. Big Ice Cup Cat.
Stop playing with you niggas. Yeah. Welcome to the Chicken and Grits podcast.
Chicken and Grits podcast. The hell is she talking about?
I don't know, man. You know that's that Christian love, ain't it?
Yeah.
Where because she said the name of the show wrong on purpose.
Yeah.
Trying to block, you know what I'm saying?
I don't even know who
trying
you
to dim
talking
our
about.
light over here. Trying to dim our light, man. You know what I'm saying? But Lucifer is the light.
According to the good work.
The light bringer.
Yeah, according to the
Light
scripture.
bringer.
The bringer of light. It's your boy.
One of my favorite things to do when it comes to any, like, you know what, it's not just the Bible, but like when you just having dialogue about, you know, like words that have a deeper concept, one of my favorite questions to ask is asking the etymology of said word. And Lucifer is one of those words that, like, having a Spanish speaking background, right? La luz is light, right? And then to hear Lucifer, you hear, you know, like the etymology is really easy to break down, but I don't know what the etymology of the Hebrew word that they've used to, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what the Hebrew word initially was. So it's like when you dig into translators and all that type of stuff, then it gets crazy. So like, he's right. Like, you know, Lucifer, light bringer.
It's your man.
I put my Trump 2024. You know what I'm saying?
Crazy.
My MAGA suit on.
Yeah, you real maggot over there, my
You know what
boy.
I'm saying? You know, you're supposed to unbutton when you're sitting down. You
Yeah,
stand up, you button up, you know what I mean?
for sure.
Went and bought a suit just for this.
Just for this episode.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
The irony is that Christians would call this cooning. You know what I mean? This is like the Christian version of
Oh my
Cool.
God.
Do the knowledge, nigga. Lucifer, nigga.
that's wild. See, that's crazy. And it's, you know, like, so here's the thing is, he's messing with y'all. He's messing with y'all. Like, and that you know, to someone like me, even at my most Christian, when I was my most Christian, the image that people have of the devil never really bothered me, because it's performative. And I don't think that you're evoking a real actual spirit. Like, I don't, like, when we take biblical characters, when we take biblical, I don't want to say ideology, but when you take the structure of the Bible and like how they've talked about certain characters, that ain't it. Like, this is not it. And I know a lot of people get my mom is just like, if she sees anything like this, she's freaking out. She's bugging out. And I know a lot of Christians are bugging out, but like, this is, some people are more offended, and this going back to like how much people don't read the Bible or really take things in context. This isn't it. It's not it. You know what I mean? Now, granted, they're making fun of your fear, and a lot of people are going to deem this as like devil worship, but I mean, really all this is doing is making not even a mockery. It is definitely not a mockery of God or Jesus Christ. It is making a mockery of the people that believe the lore that came way after the Bible, because the Bible is not where, like, the Bible is not does not talk about the devil as much as y'all want to think it does. And like, even if you take Lucifer, the devil, which is used so many times, and Satan, like, when you take all of those characters, they're not the same people. And you know, a lot of people I used to say this when I was younger. It's like, people used to say that the biggest trick the devil ever played was making the world believe he does not exist. The biggest trick the devil ever played was making you believe that it was one entity. All right, I mean,
You gonna let these sinners outdo you? Don't let the sinners. Now, we might get niggas straight away from the church. We might start doing our job. Oh, shit. Y'all niggas want to call me the Antichrist.
A lot of y'all gonna look at that as problematic. Is it the thing about the church is that is not, if that church, there are a lot of actions going on in your churches that ain't Christ-like, and they robbing a lot of people for money for their own personal gain. Like, I saw this one video where it was like the preacher, maybe it was AI, you know, because you can't even believe things these days, but it was the preacher. He was saying, it's like, God wanted me to have the Benz with y'all money, essentially. And they were like, oh, can we drive it? And he's like, no. That could have been AI. I really, you know, like, you can't trust anything, but let's see what else this dude's saying.
Listen, man, here's the unfortunate part for all my religious people. I am constantly advocating for the more downtrodden people in this community. I'm on the side of the LGBTQ people, and I speak positivity. And I speak life into these people. I'm on the side of these young folks, telling them to get in the trades, telling them to raise their standards of quality, telling these businesses to raise their standard and practices of business, telling these young people to get in the trades and get in their education and get some upward mobility in their life in a place where they can control, telling these young people to go for high probability outcomes, protecting and advocating for our women in this community, challenging men to change their ways when it comes to being violent, not being able to accept rejection, and stepping up to the plate and being the leaders of the community that we say we are. We raised funds for the babies out there in Inglewood, had a successful fundraiser out there for the babies in Inglewood.
Yes, we did.
We're going to have a successful fundraiser for the people in Atlanta that's experiencing food insecurity, and we're doing a coat drive for the homeless, and we're not running away, we're not judging these homeless people, because we understand that we all one paycheck away from it. I'm telling young men not to put their life and their future and bank all their future on 1% outcomes and being entertainers and athletes, and that they can be doctors and engineers. They can be skilled tradesmen. They can effectively change the community with their dollar. We talking about getting people into politics in the right way and being focused on your local politicians in a place where you can actively affect change. We love these babies. We love our women. We love our brothers and sisters. We love our elders. We exalt our elders.
For sure.
We honor our ancestors. I'm more like Jesus than you is, nigga.
Whoop! Whoop! And that's the point. Y'all gonna get mad. Y'all gonna get mad. But the thing about Jesus is not wearing a cross, which I consider idolatry. It is, or that's, like the iconography, the reading of we are like, Jesus Christ was not about the dogma. Jesus Christ, as far as the Bible is concerned, because I'm like, as far as the Bible is concerned, I'm not sure if that Jesus, the way it's painted out in that book, is how it happened, right? However, I do believe that there is something about, like, I don't want to say ritual, but like our ancestor, like giving honor to our ancestors. If we're going to try to claim Jesus as a black man, right? We could easily say that this man is one of our ancestors. Like, you don't really have to shift really too far outside of your own spiritual beliefs in order to still give honor and worship Jesus Christ, right? But if you're going to do that, it would be more of it would be looked on way worse if you were to say that you love Jesus, to tell everybody about Jesus, and not follow the actions of Jesus Christ himself. He's an example at base level. At base level, Jesus Christ was supposed to be an example for the rest of us to live. Like, I'm pretty sure that even the Jews believe this. I believe that the Muslims believe this. But like, if you are not living in the path of Jesus Christ, and this is where I do call myself a Christian. This is where my Christianity exists, is in the study, the looking forward of the spirit of that energy. And the Jesus Christ that I believe to existed, that's what I pattern my character off of. And I think he's right. Like, with everything that he just said, I'm not saying that it's true. I'm not saying that it's false. But with everything that he's saying are the things that I think that Jesus Christ would have wanted out of a person. And it's weird to say that when it just says nigga over a man dressed as like Donald Trump, who is dressed as the devil. Like, it's just weird. But like, I don't let that like mess with me too much as I let the message of just treating your fellow man as yourself. Biggest message, right? Golden rule. And to be honest with you, I don't necessarily agree. Like I said, like, I don't necessarily agree with everything that was written in the Bible in the way that it was. And a lot of people will say, treat each other as you would treat yourself. And I would take that a little bit further and say, treat people the way they want to be treated. And figure that conversation. Now, granted, I'm not telling you if somebody tells you to bow before them, no. But there's a basic energy that where people can pick up on. You could feel it. Some people look crazy. They look like they're about to rob you, and it's gonna make you feel like a bitch when you get out of your character and be like, you know what, this person is dealing with these issues. Let me make that energy shift to make sure that person is comfortable in the situation that they're in. That's not what he's saying, but he does have a point with acting the way Jesus would have acted, as opposed to just the worship, just saying that you believe in Jesus. That, I mean, if you believe in heaven and that's the only thing that's gonna get you to heaven, that's on you. But that's not my personal belief, and I do think that it is incumbent upon especially black people to look deeper into it.
Amen.
Amen. All right.
The discussion about me being an antichrist is ignorant, right? Because y'all saying I made a deal, and that video was for December 2024. Almost a year ago. But because of social media and how you perceive things, you think that's something I said last week. We could be stunted in our faith.
That's a fact.
You feel like you checked all the boxes. Now you ain't got to do no more work. And you're doing all this damn judgment. Oh, y'all think because Deante Kyle got a podcast and a following and he done took a puff of the devil's lettuce, he done had some divine revelation. Nigga, I don't even smoke weed.
Yo, that's okay. So I'm gonna let him.
Critical thinking looks demonic when you're stunted in your faith.
Yep. Okay. That's a good point. It goes all the way back to what I'm saying about people not reading the Bible and really look, because I really feel like if you are a person that has a spiritual energy and a connection to the book, because what I did when I started reading the Bible, and I've read not just at the age of 9-10 when my mom got her faith, and then I followed suit and got baptized and did all of the things. It was like I actually fell in love with the idea of Jesus Christ, because that's what was promoted first. Then I read the book Genesis to Revelation first, right? And I'm like, I think by the time I first really started to take a journey to try to read the Bible from cover to cover, I probably was about the age of 12 or 13. And there were just so many things that I learned and conceptualized at the age of 12. Now, a lot of it is went over my head, but at the age of 12, I took a lot of those things and I was like, oh, wow, God told Abraham to go to a rock and take his firstborn, or the child that was promised to him for over 100 years, and bash his head in as a sacrifice. That's crazy. That shit is crazy. But you can't say it because God did it, right? You can't say that that's crazy because God did it. But when you really start reading these passages, it's like something should not sit right. For God so loved the world that he sent his only begotten son. Who made those rules? Who made those rules? Who made the rules that he had to do this? He had to do this? He had to kill his son? In at least one of the quotes that Jesus said, one of the red texts is, Father, oh Father, why hast thou forsaken me? No one asks that question as to what that means. And then, of course, the theologians actually do. And then they will talk themselves into some sort of cognitive dissonance about what they feel like that means. But some of the some of the text is really horrifying, and it shouldn't sit in your spirit well. And if you get caught up on the biblical aspect of, or what was written and the word being perfect and all of that, then it can really unsettle you. It should, as a moral human being, it should unsettle you.
Christianity is a blood religion, man.
It is.
And we know that. So because y'all worship blood, y'all think that's what I'm saying. It's a projection. Mm-hmm. And it's a lack of comprehension skills. You worship blood. I don't. But I am saying the blood that's coursing in your veins and the blood that was spilled on this land and sacrificed for you to be where you are, just so you can have a voice. You don't understand how profound these people's sacrifices was. Mm. But I'm the Antichrist. Hey, we got to stop doing this to black people, bro.
Yeah, we do.
We got to stop doing this to each.
It's not going to happen. Not that quickly. Sinners came out this year, and I think it did two things. It pulled some people further away from the church, and it pushed some people closer to the church, because some people it really unsettled to such a degree where they can't really comprehend, or like it's demonic, and people get caught up on demonic, and the Bible really does not talk about demons the way that they think it does, right? You really have to be obsessed with the devil and demonic spirituality. If you were the type of person that led with Christ first, then that should have no issue whatsoever. If you got Christ in your heart, then like demonic stuff should not even care. Like you shouldn't even care, because it's like it makes up such a small percentage of what the Bible is actually about. The things that are become the villain of, mostly the hero of the story is typically the Jewish people, right? And the villain becomes different groups outside of the Jewish faith up until the New Testament, at which point everyone can get a little bit of Jesus in them, and then then it's we are all one nation under Christ. But that, if you look at just the way that works, it's not the, I don't know, like it just, there's something that should be a little bit unsettling about that, and a lot of that is by design. And perhaps at some point the word of God, the way that you look at it, like the Bible itself, might have been a perfect path towards spirituality, but you can't know, with the way that we look at history now, with the way that we know that white people have given us history and excluded us from it, that's the way it should, that it was the way it was when God supposedly spoke to Moses, or God supposedly spoke to Adam, or we can't say that those things are, or what we have in our hands now in the tangible book that is the Bible, that I have right behind me right now, is the purest form of where God intended us all to go. Men who are fallible creatures, as far as the Bible talks about. And this isn't an atheist. I wouldn't say I'm atheist or agnostic or anything like that. I'm just on my own spiritual path. And I definitely have faith in people to a certain degree. It's looking really funky right now. But what faith I do have is still in people. It is still that the nature and that spirit that makes up Jesus Christ can be in all of us, and a person can redeem themselves from a life of immorality.
Each other. Every time somebody have a little bit of success, you want to say nigga sold they soul. Look, bro, nigga ain't gotta sell they soul because they a solid nigga.
Because you think,
how much is this? If I sold my soul, why am I still paying rent? Huh? Why am I driving around 96 F-150?
With the new seatbelts.
With a new seatbelt in that motherfucker. Old seats, new seatbelts. And a goddamn Kia Sorrento.
Dang.
I sold my soul, bitch. I'd be in a private jet too.
Yeah.
I already know the arguments to that, but I'm gonna go to the next video.
Dick Gregory went from comedy to straight into politics.
Rest in peace, Dick Gregory.
I was an effective speaker. James Baldwin.
Do people know that Dick Gregory ran for president, or am I thinking that? I'm making that up in my own head.
Too many quotables.
Man,
a lifetime of quotables. We can agree with the things that Malcolm X said, and we can honor him, even if you're not of the Muslim faith. Mm-hmm. You can agree with the things that Martin Luther King said, that Reverend Fred Shuttlesworth said, and honor them. And you don't have to be of their faith. We need our diversity of thought in our community.
That's it.
We need our community to think different ways so we can come up with better solutions without putting our ideology in the front. It's about the liberation of black people always. It's about creating a better future for our children here in this country.
Which was always the beautiful thing.
The reason why you uncomfortable is because they did all their work and you think the work...
Which has always been the beautiful thing when I felt like, this was a thing, I think, when... like the Muslim community started coming, like making waves in the, late 50s, 60s, when the Nation of Islam as a whole started becoming more prevalent in the United States. Yeah, he did try to run for president. And I think he was backed by Hugh Hefner. Either way, where was I going with that? Let me see what
work is done. And you don't want to be uncomfortable. But they did their best to undo that work with...
but Muslims and Christians, I felt like it didn't matter what your belief system was. Whereas before that point, it was almost a given that everybody was a Christian before maybe 1960. It was just a given. If you were black, you were Christian. But that was also like the American mantra too. Like if you were American, you were pretty much Christian or Catholic. But then a small part of us were Jewish. And by the time the Nation of Islam came on the scene, it was never really a big deal if you weren't with the Nation of Islam. They were trying to get work done. And you really have to push your religion aside to get your work done if it is in the, with the same goal as black people. And I think that's important. We should have that.
The war on drugs, school to prison pipeline, no programs focus on ex-convicts when they get out to integrate them back into society, but programs and systems rather that cause recidivism. Men that get no say-so in their local politics, but you can be stunted in your faith because it's based on what? Fear. So as long as I'm showing up to church, as long as I'm paying my tithes, I'm gonna be safe. I'm good with God. But you ain't read that Bible.
That's it.
You ain't read that Bible. You ain't reading that Bible. You talking to somebody, and niggas think I was joking.
Read it cover to cover. Like not just once. If you love it, it's how it happened for me. Reading it cover to cover. Read it cover to cover. And you know what? And I've been for the last, I think almost, how old am I? I'm almost, I'm 40. But for the last maybe 15 years, I've read the Bible annually, cover to cover. And at least one of those times, and this is before I started doing this again, at least when I was like in my teens, I'd read the Bible, not cover to cover, but in chronological order. And there's a lot of beauty in it. There's a lot of war in it. Some of it is really entertaining. But you can feel the presence of white supremacy all throughout that book. You can you understand what it was written for. And unfortunately, I don't know any other language other than English and Spanish well enough to go any further than that. Until I can get a proper hold on Hebrew or ancient Greek. Is it ancient Greek? The Coptic Gospels? I don't know if that's an ancient Greek or if it's a more modern Greek. Either way, I don't have that. I don't have that to know what it was. So you really have, when you try to pierce behind the veil and do it through, you can still have God with that. You can still have Jesus in your heart and do it. When you start trying to pierce behind the veil and you love God so much, how about you read the book? Read the book from cover to cover, not just because you went to church on Sunday and somebody in a pulpit who is supposed to be your superior, and which is really just a kind of it's something that is superimposed where like the griot or the griot like was in the pulpit in Africa. Like we're just taking the same things and superimposing a whitewashed idea of what that was, but go through the whole thing. If you love it, love it. Don't act like you love it and just take the pieces that you like and superimpose that onto your own, superimpose your own ideas onto your faith. Question your, I don't want to say question your faith like in God. Question the building that you're in. Question the people who are telling you things, and read the book. Then question the book. When I was a kid, I asked my pastor, I think because my grandmother, being Catholic, she had a copy of the Bible that included a book called Tobit, I believe. And I'm like, why isn't this in the Bible? I was like, and my pastor told me because he knew. And he was like, after it's like these were books that the Protestants didn't deem as appropriate or crucial. And I was like, so we're talking about the 1500s? Like 1550s? Books were removed? You could just do that? I thought this is a holy book. We can't, So when you start asking those questions, it actually becomes a beautiful path. And then, then you start stripping stuff away, adding stuff into your own daily mantra. It's actually a beautiful thing to have. I don't necessarily want this podcast to be about like my deep journeys into spirituality or any other type of religion or anything like that. I mean, maybe we can do something separately that digs into it, because I think this video is probably getting a little long now. But there are a couple that I have right with me right now. There's The Secret of All Ages. I have Yurugu right here with me. Here's just a few. Give me a second. See him? All right. Yurugu, important. That's Marimba Ani, an African-centered critique of European cultural thought and behavior. Bang. I got one called The Good Book over here, which is like a called the Humanist Bible. Just a lot of different quotes and thoughts from people from throughout the ages. Yoruba traditions and African religious nationalism. The Secret of All Ages. And this is like European and like I wouldn't say just Celtic, but like a lot of pagan religions. Pagan really only means pre-Christianity, before the Roman Catholic Church took over in that regard. What else? I mean, I got two versions of the Bible over here. The Gnostic Bible. Bang. I keep most of them on my Kindle. But
when I was with Kev on stage, they think I was joking about sitting in that living room reading that Bible, smoking a cigarette. I was dead ass.
No, you was real.
and I wasn't just reading it trying to find no answers just for that day. I was faithfully in my Bible. I needed to know what was going on. I needed something, and I felt like that good word had a word for me. We talk about honoring the ancestors, venerating the ancestors. We ain't talking about nothing about no worship. Y'all say, "Oh, well, Jesus is our ancestor." Okay, that's great. That's great. Jesus was an example through his actions. Do you listen to the words? He also talked.
We often do the thing where like people might criticize the veneration of the ancestors.
How empathetic he was for the people that were.
People might criticize the veneration of the ancestors, but we do a thing where we bring up the spirit of Jesus, bring up the spirit of like Elijah, the strength of Goliath, or I'm sorry, not Goliath, the strength of Samson. Like, we do that all the time. Why can't we do that for our own family members, and bring them back?
Pressed. And how radical he was to go against the power structure. Y'all ain't doing none of that. Y'all actually conform to the power structure, and you call it being in the world, but not of the world. So you don't deal with nothing worldly. And this worldly shit is dealing with you every day. Dick Gregory went from comedy straight into politics. And was an effective speaker. James Baldwin, too many quotables.
Man,
a lifetime of quotables. We can agree with the things that Malcolm X said, and we can honor him, even if you're not of the Muslim faith.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You can agree with the things that Martin Luther King said, that Reverend Fred Shuttlesworth said, and honor them. And you don't have to be of their faith. We need our diversity of thought in our community. We need our community to think different ways so we can come up with better solutions without putting our ideology in the front. It's about the liberation of black people, always.
It's about the liberation of black people, always. Black and indigenous people all over this world, we're still oppressed people. I'm always going to stand up for the people that don't have it, that have sometimes even more than me, but don't realize that they are mentally oppressed by like what's happening in the world. And I don't know, there's beauty behind that. And you know what? Like you can literally demonize the thought processes of different people and other people's spiritual journeys, but I don't think that that's what Christ was doing. If anything, one of the major, like as far as when Christ got anywhere near what seemed like violence, what his biggest issue was essentially the capitalism that was going on in the church at the time with the Sadducees and the Pharisees, and then like them turning God's house into a house of thieves. I can't remember what the exact quote was, but it's something to think about. And I really feel like, there is a wave of people. I don't think it's happening fast enough where people start to criticize things, and people are definitely gonna criticize me and say that I need Jesus. But I mean, like I'm already there. I've been where y'all at. I've been to those places already. I got that in my heart already. I don't need anyone to say what I need to do spiritually. That's your own personal journey. Let me look at some of the comments. So, because I've been scrolling up and down for a minute because I just didn't do the whole screen. I don't even know if I can do it without the comments. If they read the Bible as thoroughly as they claim, they wouldn't be a Christian anymore. Maybe. I feel like, I don't know. I look at like being a Christian as being Christ-like and like trying to be Christ-like. So I think there are a couple of things with that. Like, you can be a Christian and not necessarily agree with much of the Bible at all, or New Testament, which I feel like sometimes it comes off a little anti-Semitic to say it in that way. There's an author named Stephanie. I don't know how to pronounce her last name. No, it's Francesca Stepanosa. Like, it's something crazy Greek. But she has a book out, and it's called The Anatomy of God. And it talks about just the body of God, but very often in interviews, and I think she might have mentioned it in the book too, to look at Christianity as like, and I think Ann Coulter said this at one point, the perfect, the perfected Judeo philosophy is Christianity, which I don't feel like is necessarily fair. And this guy says, King Taylor, he says, fine line between diversity in thought and diminishing people's choice. We can't sing Dr. King's praises, yet diminish minds of those that believed what he believed. It's also okay for people of whatever faith to stand 10 tones down on their journey. I don't know where he's going with that. Is he agreeing or disagreeing? Because right now I feel like what he's saying is more, I think he's trying to disagree, but he's really only proving Deante Kyle's point a little more. Like, yeah, sure. I don't think Deante Kyle is really just throwing away Christianity in that way. I think he's saying that as Christians, we need to think better. I think Christianity needs to do a better job at not looking at every other religion as some sort of problem, and then we can all grow together as one people, especially amongst black people. So I don't know really what he was trying to say with that. Yeah, I don't deal with nothing worldly, but this worldly shit is dealing with you every. Yeah, that was a bar for sure. Malcolm X said, if we bring up religion, we'll have differences and we'll never be able to get together. But if we keep our religion at home, keep our religion in the closet, keep our religion between ourselves and God, then when we come out here, we have a fight that's common to all of us against an enemy who is common to all of us. Yeah. I do believe you should have a exchange of ideas, but it's a different discussion. You should be able to discuss your religious backgrounds. It's a philosophy of thought. I think that there should be a safe place for that. But I do believe one thing that I've always wanted, and I forget the guy's name that does it. I believe his first name is Christian something, but it's like the faith community. And I know that Jasmine's garden, like I know that she has conversations with him all the time. But we need more spaces where black people, and I know we got like ton of community centers, but like we definitely need more houses where we as black people can, like, the church of black people, where those ideas can exist together and we don't necessarily have to argue about anything, but just an exchange of spiritual ideas where we can all come together and celebrate one another in that way. I'm not engaging in certain convos with people until I hear them read a paragraph out loud, then explain to me what it means to them. That's funny. That is so funny. It's like when 50 Cent told Floyd Mayweather to read a page out of a Harry Potter book. He said one full page. But to continue that sentence, if we're not even engaging from the same baseline of knowledge and comprehension, I'm wasting oxygen that could be good. Yeah, you know what? And sometimes I feel like we really overlook intelligence. This is going on for a little long, but I'm gonna tie this up soon. I'm gonna tie it up with this. I do believe that there are people of different intelligences within any community, but especially within the black community, and there are people that aren't literate. There are people that are not literate. And with people and having conversations with people who can't comprehend what they just read out loud on the page. There are other intelligences that person may have, so you be sure not to just dismiss somebody just because they can't have a conversation with you on the subject that you want to have at that period of time. As far as you're talking about right then and there, yep, I dismiss it too. Like, you don't have any idea what you're talking about. I might even hear you out. I might let you speak, but what may seem like disrespect to some people isn't necessarily disrespect for me. I'm gonna hear you out. But I'm probably not gonna value your level of comprehension enough on that particular subject to continue it further with you. And that's not necessarily a downplay of your intelligence or whatnot, because I definitely believe that, like, if you take two 40-year-old people, right? You take someone that's my age, and I understand that you have a wealth of knowledge or 40 years worth of experience in something, in just life. Our intelligences are going to be placed unequally in different places. There are people that I know who don't know who Marcus Garvey is, but can give me every stat about Jackie Robinson's career in, like back when he was playing baseball, or like something random. Just like there are some people that I know that are just really good with historical dates and times, and like, just or maybe like art critique or what have you. And it just varies, right? So sometimes I need to get to it might be beneficial for me at a particular time in my life to get some of the information that somebody who has a way more of a wealth of knowledge and something that I might not have valued before, so that I can have that going forward for one particular thing. And that's one thing that I think should be a major takeaway from this, is not to devalue people who don't share your religious values. And I feel like black people we're the worst at this, right? But with that said, my name is Tr38cho. This is Nuanced Noise. This is a little longer than I wanted it to be. Hopefully some people watch it. It's whatever if you don't. Like, comment, subscribe. I got music on the way. That's what I got going on in my life. Answer in the comments what you felt about Deante Kyle's point of view and Jasmine's Garden's point of view. All right. Peace, love, chicken grease, all that. Ashe, amen. Peace.